Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you're watching from today. We are joined once again after a long break by Dusty the dog. After moving back in after the great flood, Dusty had a lot of rest, but now he is back and excited for the news, excited to be in the videos. We're excited to have him here. Today's subject, see, he's still tired. He's doing a little yawning. Today's subject is President Donald Trump issued a chilling warning about potential conflicts and steps the United States is taking to make sure we don't get into an all-out war. We're going to get into all of that and much more. Before we do, please make sure to like and subscribe, comment with your thoughts below, hit the bell so you always know when a new video is coming. Now, let's get into it. As we all know, there are several major conflicts unfolding across the globe right now requiring attention from the United States. Russia and Ukraine continue to fight out a brutal and bloody war. Ukraine just pulled off a stunning drone attack deep inside Russian territory, taking out a significant chunk of the Russian strategic bomber fleet, which is one of the three legs on the Russian nuclear triad stool. The other two, of course, being land-based ICBMs and submarines carrying nuclear missiles that can be fired from underwater. That is their nuclear deterrent. Similar one to what we have here in the United States, but ours is much more advanced, better maintained, better funded, et cetera, et cetera. On top of that, the Middle East continues to rage and is on fire. You have conflicts in Gaza. Israel continues to fight. There are mounting fears over a possible war with Iran if negotiations over enriched uranium in the country's nuclear program are not able to strike a peaceful and diplomatic solution. We have problems all over the place. And of course, we have the cartels right to our southern border that the United States is trying to gear up and also fight. But the big one of them all, as I have talked about at length, is China. It all comes down to China. What's going on in Europe is a distraction. What's going on in the Middle East, for the most part, other than whether or not we're going to reach a deal with Iran, is a distraction. That stuff does not have the ability to reach out and touch your lives, impact your daily life here in America. A war with China absolutely would be able to reach out and touch our lives here in America. Unfortunately, our economies are intertwined. We rely on them for goods, supply chain needs, things of that matter. Plus Taiwan, we receive the bulk of our electronic chips, which we need for pretty much everything in daily life here in America is also in Taiwan. So if Taiwan falls, China takes that, I can promise you they're not going to sell chips to the United States at all. A war with China will have devastating impacts. That's just the truth of the matter. We can debate it all day, but that is the fact of the matter. So President Trump, very aware of this threat, took to social media. And then let me step back here just a little bit. President Donald Trump has made it clear ever since he was campaigning to return to the White House and then since returning to the White House for his second term as president, that making sure the military was as strong as possible was a top priority for his administration. He wants to modernize the military, continue to expand the military. We're going to get into all of that here shortly, but let me go ahead and throw this up on the screen for you right here, right now. This was a message that Trump shared on June 2nd, the night of June 2nd. I'm filming this on Tuesday, June 3rd. He shared this on June 2nd on Truth Social. He says, just had a great talk with our military leaders. It is the strongest military we have ever had, including the fact that we are stockpiling weapons at a rate never seen before by our country. Hopefully, however, we will never have to use them. So that is the message that President Donald Trump shared on Truth Social, saying the United States military is stronger than it has ever been in the past, and we are stockpiling weapons at a rate that this country has never, ever seen before. What does this mean? What warning message does this send to our enemies? Let's get into all of that right now. So there you have President Donald Trump's message claiming that the United States is currently stockpiling more weapons than at any other time in United States history. It's an incredible claim. One of the reasons it's such an incredible claim is because in World War II, we saw the mobilization of the armed forces of the United States in a fashion no country in the world had ever done before. I believe, if my stats are still correct, we produced enough rifle ammunition to give every human on the planet 17 bullets. That was how much rifle ammunition the United States of America produced during World War II. At one point, we were rolling a bomber off the assembly line every single hour. Fighter jet, P-51 Mustangs, fighter planes off the line, tanks off the lines, excuse me. We were producing at a level the world had never seen before. And that's really one of the big reasons the United States won World War II, is because our industrial capacity was unrivaled, unmatched, and countries in Europe, our enemies, and Japan were not able to get to the United States homeland and take out our factories as to where we could just go in there and flatten their ability to produce arms. One thing led to the next. Obviously, we crushed them in World War II. The good guys win that one, take it home with a major W. He's now saying we're stockpiling weapons at an even faster rate. So maybe there's a little bit difference in the definition there, because when you're building weapons and using them immediately like we were in World War II, you're not really stockpiling them. Stockpiling refers more to, we've got these weapons over here. This is what we're going to use. This is what we want to use. So that's good news. You want to be able to have mass reserves, mass stockpile of arms. We've obviously shipped a ton of weapons to Ukraine. We've shipped a ton of weapons to Israel. And there was a time when people were worried that we were depleting our own stockpiles. And that would obviously be a huge issue, because when a conflict kicks off with China, we're going to need all the arms, ships, planes we can get. Here's the really good news. The United States is developing currently multiple different platforms, weapon systems that we will use in the event of a major conflict. The big one that we've talked about is, or that's been talked about a bunch, is the 6th generation fighter jet, the F-47. We also have the new stealth bomber, the B-21 Raider. They're also making unmanned fighter jets that would go out in front of the manned aircraft, clear the battlefield, open up the space for the F-35s and the F-22s coming in. Some incredible technology. The Navy is currently developing some new and modern weapon systems, including lasers that would be used to shoot down incoming threats. We are making a ton of great stuff. Why is this important? This is important because if we go to war with China, and some military experts have that date of a war with China as early as 2027, we are going to need to bring everything we have to bear. We're going to have to hit them so hard, they're not even going to know what was coming. We're going to have to use weapons that the world, quite frankly, doesn't even know exist. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be an expert. I know a decent amount about the United States military and our armaments, but we all know that there's stuff being tested in locations that we don't even know exist, that we will desperately need those next generation weapons to defeat an enemy like China. That is what it is. That's the ball game. China, at the same time, is also rapidly developing and expanding its military capabilities. That includes new stealth fighters. They're trying to develop their first ever stealth bomber. They're building a bunker 10 times the size of the Pentagon. They're building out mass amounts of naval ships. Now, granted, their naval ships are, lack of a better word, dog shit compared to ours. But as we've talked about at length, their strategy is different than ours. They don't care about quality, they care about quantity. But as the famous saying goes, quantity is a quality in and of itself. That's kind of where it's at. We need to take this threat very seriously, and we need to arm ourselves. We need to be ready to fight. We need to have the weapons to fight. And if and when the time comes that we face a near-peer threat like China, whether it's in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, we need to make sure we can hit them with overwhelming force, because that's how you're going to win that fight. You're going to have to come out of the gate swinging and make it clear. You're going to have to inflict so many casualties from the jump that they get scared and take their ball and go home and run away. Say whatever you want about the military. Say whatever you want about Trump. It is a good thing that we are arming in stockpiling weapons at a rate, if true. And obviously, he didn't say what the weapons were. I think a lot of those weapons are going to be next generation weapons that we don't have a lot of information about right now. We need to stockpile as many weapons as we can, so when the next big dance comes down the pipeline, i.e. a war with China, we're ready to roll. And I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, this is about keeping the homeland safe. This is about keeping America safe. This is about making sure we never lose military supremacy. And as long as we have our weapons and our stockpiles full and ready, locked and loaded to engage with the enemy, we're going to be just fine. And it sounds like that is what President Trump is doing. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the stockpiling of weapons. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you never miss a video. And as always, I'll see you all next time.